Welcome. We'll discuss question 2. This is question 2 of the May 2021. This is financial accounting paper, May 2021. So financial accounting, May 2021. And we are working on question 2, which is on correction of errors and suspense account. So work with me as we try to understand this question and get to know how to go about it in case you meet it in an exam. So Alice Kibibi's accountant has prepared her 12 balance which did not balance as follows. So return inwards and return outwards, you have the figures there. Capital for 5,000, sales 30,000, purchases 25,000 debit, drawings 8,220, rent and rates 7,000, motor vehicles 8,000, discounts allowed and discounts received 800 and 600 respectively. Accounts receivable and accounts payable 32,900 and 5,000 respectively. The zeros have been restricted, and you can see these are 12 balance. The totals are not agreeing. In a 12 balance, the debit side and the credit side should balance. The fact that the two sides have not balanced shows that there's a problem. There must be errors. And in such like a case, normally we also include a suspense account with the difference. So in this case, a suspense account is supposed to appear on the should have a credit balance of, I think, 1,110. That is 84,420, the debit figure that we have here, less 83,310, that is the credit balance. You will get 1,110. So we are supposed to open a suspense account and show the difference as 1,110 on the credit side, so that the totals can balance 84,420, 84,420. And then later on, we try to find out what could be the cause of this suspense account, because what that means is that we have errors, and those errors are the ones that, when identified later, we simply go back and open a suspense account to explain the difference. That's possibly what you are going to do. So let's continue the question. Additional information. Now, I hope these are the errors that were discovered. A credit note for 2850,000 or 2.85 million was entered in the account of customer P. Toro, but no entry was made in the returns account. That is an error. The sales account was overcast by 4.8 million. Of course, it's an error. The 2.97 million of goods withdrawn for Alice Kibibi's personal use was entered into the drawings account, but no other entries were made. Yes, a discount allowed of 2.52 million was credited in error to the discounts received account. Cash sales of 19.78 million had not been entered in the sales account. A bad debt of 6.3 had been entered in the customer's account, but not in any other account. And the purchases account had been undercast by 2.65 million. Now, all these are errors, and you can see they are errors affecting not the two sides of the ledger. They are only affecting one side. It's only one side that is being affected, and such like errors will definitely lead to a suspense account. But if it's affecting two ledgers or two sides of the ledgers, that is debit and credit of different ledgers, in such like cases, it will just balance itself out. We might be talking about these errors like errors of commission, errors of principal, error of those kind of errors. And those ones, the trial balance will still balance, though we have errors. So when we are correcting, we just correct using the two ledgers that have been affected. In this case, the errors are affecting one side of the ledger, and so we'll end up with a suspense account, and this explains where we are. So what are we required? Journal entries to correct the above errors. Narrations are not required here, so we'll not go through the narrations. And then suspense account duly balanced. So what the question requires of us, number one, is to correct these errors. And so we'll open up journals, because journals are the ones that are used to correct errors. So we'll open up journals, correct the errors, and then after correcting those errors, we'll now come up with a suspense account. Okay, so let's come back here to our worksheet. Solutions. This is FA May 2021, Financial Accounting Paper May 2021, and it's for section 1. For section 1. Section 1. So question 2, correction of errors and suspense account. So let's get the solution, and we'll start by coming up with what we call the ledger, the journal. Come up with a journal, and that's how a journal looks like. So we'll have the title. That's how a journal looks like. So we have like that. Let's do our 2 lines. Then we'll have our it's a bit tricky drawing these lines. So like that one has come out clearly. So then we have another one like that. Then you have another one for the figures. Then we have another one for the figures like that. And you'll allow me to use this space here for workings. It's actually not supposed to be part of the diagram. So allow me to use this space here for workings. I'll use this for working just to explain what I'm going to have. So here we'll have the details or particulars, details, and then you have the debit, and then you have the credit. Just that. So this space here I will use for my own workings, but it's not actually supposed to be part of the question. Okay, so let's go straight and start correcting these errors. So number 1, these are the errors. So this is where the whole question is. A credit note for 2850, 2.85 was entered in the account of customer P. Toro, but no entry was made in the returns account. A credit note for 2.85 was entered in the account of customer P. Toro. So who is P. Toro? P. Toro is a customer, and so he must be a debtor. So if we are to open the account of P. Toro, who is a debtor, we will have P. Toro account, and P. Toro is a debtor. So anything he buys on credit will be on the debit side. Anything P. Toro is going to buy on credit is going to be on the debit side because he's a customer. A customer who buys on credit becomes a debtor. So P. Toro is a debtor, and a debtor is a debit account. A debtor is basically an asset, a current asset. So it is a debit. It's found on the debit side of the ledger. So what happened? A credit note for 2850. A credit note is normally issued when say in this case the customer has been overcharged. Chances are very high that this customer returned the goods back, some of the goods back to the shop. So upon his returning the goods back to the shop, he was issued with a credit note to reduce the amount that he had been charged on the invoice. A credit note serves to reduce the amount that the customer had been charged, especially if the customer has returned some of the goods, or if maybe some of the goods have been found to be faulty. So this credit note of 2850 was entered in the account of customer P, but no entry was made in the returns account. So yes, and now it's very clear that P. Toro returned the goods. You can see no entry was made in the returns account. So he returned the goods back to the business. And upon his returning the goods to the business, he was issued with a credit note of 2850, which was entered in his account. So basically how it's supposed to, the account how it's supposed to be is that we are supposed to see the credit note reflecting here in his account to reduce this. Say he bought goods of 15 million. 15 million will be here, and then 2850 worth of goods was returned. So this is supposed to reduce to reduce the amount he owes the business. That's how it's supposed to be, and it has been done that way. The only problem in this statement is that no entry was made in the returns account. So we need to make an entry in the returns account. And when goods are returned to the business, we call that the return inwards. Return inwards. Return inwards. And because the goods will be received by the business, it will be debited in the books of the business. So return inwards is a debit account, so that the goods have come back to the business. So this figure is supposed to be here. And you can now see the double entry concept playing here clearly, that upon the customer returning goods back to the business, we debit the return inwards to show that we have received, and we credit that customer's account to show that his outstanding amount has reduced by the amount of goods he has basically returned into the business. So the debit will be here and the credit will be here. This one has been done, this one has not been done. So we will have to do this. And you can see it's debit, return inwards. We always start with the debit side. So when you come here, you just say return inwards account, and then you debit the amount in question, which is 2.85000, like that. Now, what is this account that has been affected? The other account that is affected is the suspense account. Suspense account. We are just put here in the suspense account because remember, this one was correctly captured. It is this one that had not been captured. And so this figure is part of, basically explains why our 12 balance is not balanced. So we'll come to the suspense account and put the equivalent of the double entry. So in this case, it will be 2850, like that. So we debit the return inwards account to pass the correct entry which had been left out, and then we credit the suspense account. Now, narration, if we were to, the question doesn't allow us to have a narration, but if it was to allow us to have a narration, we would have said being a record of return inwards that had been omitted, something like that, to show that we had omitted the return inwards transaction. We had not captured it, but now we are capturing. That will be the narration. But since the question is not keen on the narration, we are going to leave it at that, and then you close. This is how we close the book. You simply do a line to close that particular transaction, like that. You simply do a line like that to close that particular transaction. So we have closed it. But if there was need for narration, we'll have put the narration right here as the third line. So that is complete as it is. Let's move to the second error. So the second error is the sales account was overcast by 4.8 million. Sales account was overcast by 4.8 million. So sales account was overcast by 4.8 million. Normally, a sales account is a credit account. Normally, a sales account is a credit account. So when we talk about sales account, we expect the figures to be here. It's a credit account. We are losing the goods, the stocks in the goods. So it's a credit account so that the goods are leaving the premises. So sales are a credit account. So the sales account was overcast by 4.8 million, meaning that we actually captured 4.8 million above what we were supposed to capture. So it means the credit side is 4.8 million. We have 4.8 million shillings extra to what was actually supposed to be the case. So what are we supposed to do? We are simply supposed to debit this figure, the excess of 4.8, so that it can cancel this one out. This side is 4.8 shillings extra. So we debit an equivalent amount so that it can cancel that effect. When you put 4.8 this side, it will basically have that cancelling effect and will have a zero. So we'll have reduced that excess amount to zero. So we will debit the sales account, and which other account are we going to affect? The suspense account. It means this had affected the suspense account. It's one of the reasons why the suspense account is not balancing. It's one of the reasons why it's not balancing. Remember, we placed 1.1 million under suspense account. So this is one of the reasons because of this error. So we'll simply come here and say debit sales account. Why are we debiting? So as to correct the overcast amount in sales. So we say sales account, just write sales account, and then suspense account, like that, suspense account. So sales account, we are debiting 4.8 million, and then suspense account, we are crediting 4.8 million. It's part of the reason why the suspense account is not balancing. Then once you are done, because we really don't need a narration as per the question, we simply close that part like that. That's how we close it. And then we go to the third one. But the narration will have been to correct an overcast in sales. So number 3, 2.97 of worth of goods withdrawn for Alice Kibibi's personal use was entered into the drawings account, but no other entries were made. This is actually correct up to here. The problem is no other entries were made. That is where the problem is. But 22.97 worth of goods withdrawn for Alice Kibibi's personal use was entered into the drawings account. Perfectly correct, because she took those goods, and drawings means that she is interfering with her investment in the business. So there is one more account that has not been captured. No other entries were made. Which other account is that? In this case, we are going to treat Alice Kibibi just like any other customer, because she has taken these goods, and the goods will be catered for by her investment, by her capitalization in the business. So we are going to treat her just like any other client. So when you take the goods from the business, what happens? You are reducing the stock in the business. And the best way to capture that is through sales. So we will say it's as if the business has sold the goods to Alice. So we are supposed to credit sales account, and then we debit drawings account to show that this money will actually come from Alice's account. So what are we supposed to do here? Create a sales account which has not been made, to show that Alice, the business actually sold goods worth 2.97 to Alice, and they were charged to her drawings account, which is very much correct. So the drawings account part of it has been captured well, but the sales has not been captured. So that's where our interest is. So we'll simply come here and say debit. We are supposed to credit sales, because sales is a credit account. But do we start with the debit side? No. We always start with, do we start with the credit side? No, we always start with the debit side. So which account are you going to debit? It is this account that was affected by that error, which is the suspense account. So we start with the suspense account, and we write it there. We are going to debit the suspense account and credit the sales account. We are crediting the sales account because we are treating this transaction the same way as selling to any other customer. And Alice is just like any other customer. She has bought goods worth 2.97. So we are going to credit the sales account. And then in return, the business will recover that money from her account capitalization, which is now represented by the drawings account. So the amount in question is 2.97. 2.97. So we'll come here and say suspense account 2.97, like that. We always start with the debit side. Don't start with the credit side like that. And then you do what? You close, because there's no narration required. But if narration was required, you simply say that this is inclusion of, to record the sales transaction which had been omitted. Just like that. That will be the narration. So that is the third part. So we continue with this journey. Let's go to the fourth item. A discount allowed of 25.20 was credited in error to the discount received account. A discount allowed of 25.20 was credited in error to the discount received account. So, discount allowed of 25.20 was credited. Discount allowed is supposed to be done what? It's supposed to be debited because it's an expense. Discount received is supposed to be credited. Why? Because it is a gain. It is a gain. Actually, discount allowed is a loss to the business. Losses and expenses are supposed to be debited. Gains and incomes are supposed to be credited. So discount received is a gain. Discount allowed is a loss. Sorry, it's a loss. Discount allowed is a loss to the business, and so it's supposed to be debited. So then, a discount allowed of 25.20 was credited in error to the discount received. Discount allowed of 25.20. This is where it was supposed to be recorded. But instead of recording it here, it was recorded where? Here. Instead of recording it, a discount allowed of 25% was credited in error to the discount received account. So instead of recording it here, it was erroneously recorded here. So what are you supposed to do? Number one, to remove this. How do you remove this? By debiting this amount so that this amount can cancel this one out. And then number two, we are now supposed to record it here. Are you seeing? Because this is where we're supposed to record, but we didn't record it here. Instead, we recorded it here. So we debit the discount received account to cancel this effect, and then we record now the correct transaction here so that it can now be accurate. Our records can be accurate. Now, what are you seeing? We have debited discount received. We have debited discount allowed. What is the other account that is going to be credited? Definitely, it has everything to do with the suspense account. Remember, our suspense account is because of the errors. And these are the errors which we are discovering. So we'll simply come here and say discount received to correct the error first of how much? 25.20. And then we again say discount allowed. We are debiting this again. How much? 25.20, like that. And then suspense account. This is very much okay, it's allowed. So suspense account, we are going to have the double, because it, the dual, that NP concept. So this will be 50, 40. I'm just adding the two, 50, 40, like that. So that will be the suspense account with credit, and then it will be done that way. So 25.20. Do it like that. And I need to extend this diagram of mine. Let me extend this diagram of mine. Sorry if I don't get it right. Okay, I'll get the lines right. Yeah. There we go. There we go. There we go. And lastly, there we go. Good. Okay, so we continue with our journey. Now, number 5. Cash sales of 19,780 had not been entered in the sales account. Cash sales. You sold goods on cash worth 19.78, but you did not enter the same in the sales account. So what are you supposed to do? Simply enter the same in the sales account. So you simply come here, the sales account, because it's a sales, and sales are credit entries. So we simply, we cannot start with credit entry. So the debit side definitely will have suspense account, because that explains the difference. So suspense account, how much? Suspense account, how much was the figure? I think these were cash sales of 19,780,000. So you simply say 780,000 like that, and then we say credit. Sorry, this is sales account. Sales account, how much? 19,780,000, like that. So these are, we sold goods in cash, but we did not record the same in the sales account. When you sell goods, you credit the sales account, because goods are leaving the organization. So you credit the sales account and you debit cash account. So the assumption here is that the cash account was debited, but the sales account had not been credited. So we credit the sales account. But we don't start with the credit side, we always start with the debit side. So if we credit the sales account, the other account that we're supposed to debit is suspense account, and that explains why suspense account has been debited and the credit account, the sales account, has been credited. So that is number 5. Move to number 6. A bad debt of 6.3 had been entered in the customer's account, but not in any other account. A bad debt of 6.3 had been entered in customer's account, but not in any other account. So when you have a bad debt, you've created that account. What you're supposed to do is to reduce the liability of the debtor by that amount, and then you open a bad debt account and you debit. Bad debt is a loss to the business, so it's supposed to be debited. Losses are debit accounts. So to the client, the debtor, it will reduce his liability by that amount. To the bad debt account, it will be a debit account, and it's actually a loss to the business, and it should be treated as so. So what happens? A bad debt of 6.3 had been entered in the customer's account. So if this was the customer, Toro maybe, and he has a debit balance, the 6.3 will reduce his liability, so it will be credited. And then we open bad debt account to show that it's a loss to the business, and we debit. So we'll simply come here and say bad debt, because it's a debit, we go straight to it. So this is 6.3, like that, and then suspense account, because the other account was gotten right. It was actually posted to the customer's account, except the bad debt. So that explains why the difference in the trial balance, and so we have to credit the suspense account as we correct that particular bad debt account. So again, as usual, close. Then let's move to the last one. The last one, the purchase account had been undercast by 2650. Purchase account had been undercast by 2650. Purchase account is a debit account. So if this is the purchase account, purchases are debit account, stock is increasing. So it had been undercast by 2.65. Undercast means that we don't have equivalent of this amount of purchases. The equivalent of this amount of purchases has not been captured. So we simply capture it. How do we capture it? We debit the purchases account. So we'll simply come here and say purchases account. Purchase account, how much? 2650, like that. And then we say the other account that will be affected will definitely be the suspense account, and the figure is 2650, like that. And then we close this. We close. How do we close? Like that. Just like that. So then we are done. That's how it's done. Up to there, we are done. That was the last item. So the journal entries to correct the above errors, narration not required, 7 marks. With this, how are they marked? You get a tick here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That explains the 7 marks. So if you don't get one well or correctly, the others, you still have a chance of getting them right. So don't lose hope, don't panic, just go for a transaction at a time. Then part 2, a suspense account that is duly balanced. Now a suspense account, we just draw from this. You just draw the suspense account from this. Suspense account, just draw from this, you extract from that. So a suspense account looks like this. You'll have that normal T account. So let's have our normal T account. So a normal T account. Let me see if it will fit here. So this is our normal T account. Our normal T account. And then you write, this is now part 2 of the question. You write suspense account. Suspense account. Then of course we have the credit side and we have the debit side. So this one, you just extract from our part 1. Just follow the instruction. But you start with the balance brought down. Balance brought down. So in this case, look at the side which has a deficit, the smaller figure. And you can see it's the credit side. And the deficit was 84,420 minus 83,310. You can see the difference is clearly 1,110 between these two. So we'll have accounts, we'll have suspense account with a credit balance of 1,110. So when you come here, you simply say it's a credit balance of 1,110. So you'll simply come here and say balance brought down 1,110. Like that. And because we have not, we were working with all the zeros, so we'll continue the zeros, we will not restrict. So 1.11 million. And then the rest you just read now from your corrections. You can see the first transaction, suspense account, is a credit of 2850. So just come here and credit the suspense account. It's affected by which account? Return inwards account. So you say return inwards account. Return inwards account. How much? 2850,000. Like that. So you just read it. It's affected by return inwards account, 2850, and it's a credit account. So you go to suspense account, you credit it. The second one, you can see it's the sales that is affecting, and suspense is a credit. So you simply say sales account, sales, how much? Sales 4.8. So you come here and say 4.8. 4.8, like that. And then the third one, suspense account. You can see now we are debiting suspense account with 2.97. So we come here, we say, and the account is, this is sales 2.97. So you come here and say sales 2.97, like that. And then the fourth item, come here, the fourth item, you can see suspense account. This is discount received, discount allowed. You can just talk of discounts, discount account. So discount account, 50/40. We are crediting suspense account with 50/40. So you simply come here and say discount account, both the two discounts, 50/40, 000. So these zeros we also have to include them here. Then we continue. Suspense account is now debited, and the reason is sales 19,780. So sales 19,780, like that. And then the next item, bad debts. Bad debts is the reason, but suspense account has been credited. Bad debt, suspense account has been credited. So bad debt, and the amount is 6.3 million, like that. Then the next item is purchases. Purchases 2650. You can see suspense account has been, it's a credit account, and the reason is purchase account. So simply come here and say purchases, and the figure is 2650, like that. So we are just reading from the corrections that we've made and writing the same. So then what we need to do is to close our books. That's how we close our books. And these figures need to balance. The moment these figures balance, it means that our balance has also balanced, because the error was represented by the suspense account, which has now been corrected. So these figures are supposed to balance. Let's see if they balance. 2970 plus 19780, that gives us 22750. So 22750, like that. Then let's add the other side. The other side you have 1110 plus 2850. For the sake of time, you may not have to include all those zeros. They'll just waste your time. This thing is supposed to be done in less than 15 minutes in an exam situation. So as you work out, you need to be timing yourself. 22750. You can see it has already balanced. 22750, 22750. So this will give you how many marks? 3 marks. Just from the question, you can see from the question we talk about 3 marks here. So the 3 marks, 1, and balancing 1. So this will give you 3 marks. So that's how it goes. These are the 10 marks. You are supposed to do this question in less than 15 minutes to be on the safer side, because it's only 10 marks. Full question of 20 marks will take you at most 30 minutes. So this one is 10 marks, 15 minutes at most. But this one, if you are doing it, if you know what you are doing, it can take you even around 7 minutes or so. You need to save time on questions that you can save time on. So thank you. Follow me. In the next class, we'll be discussing question 2b. Welcome.